Fellow Spartans, how you doing, and welcome back to another video. So a couple of days ago, Creative Assembly released a rather interesting and revealing blog about how the settlement management and chaos mechanics will work for Total War Warhammer. So this is built upon the campaign trailer that was uploaded last week and essentially added to the information which was shown to us within that, and hopefully answered some of your questions that you guys may have had. So the blog also contained a pretty fantastic screenshot which we'll take a look at in a minute, showing off Chaos's potential to corrupt and devastate the lands of the old world. So they started by saying the building trees and all the different variables that keep your settlements running have changed a lot from what we may have been used to in previous Total War games, given the fact that the Warhammer Fantasy Battles world is far more dark, mystical and war orientated than any historical era on Earth. And because of this, the main thing which they wanted to break away from was the sort of negative side effects that some buildings in previous Total War games would give off, and focus more on things that are really important. So I would imagine this would mean taking away the management of having to ensure certain buildings were constructed to counterbalance other buildings within your settlement, i.e. structures that would cause public order loss or an increase in squalor possibly. Most things you will be able to build in your settlements will benefit your war effort either directly by allowing you to recruit more and better units, as well as being able to defend your settlements better, or indirectly by giving you more income or dealing with or the spreading of the influence of chaos or the vampire counts. So you do get that feeling, and essentially it has been the tone since we were shown the announcement trailer earlier this year that chaos will probably be the biggest problem and factor that is going to be against you in the campaigns. Therefore, buildings have been designed to offer you some ways in how to counter this spread of corruption across your lands. Now, there are 5 levels of buildings available to construct. At the core of a settlement is the main settlement building, representing the settlement population and basic infrastructure. Before you can construct a higher level building, you will need to upgrade the settlement building itself essentially. Upgrading the settlement also gives you an additional slot to construct buildings in, and some nice extra stats based on your race. Now, the same as in previous titles, settlements are grouped into provinces, with a province capital protected by tall walls and towers, and some more vulnerable villages in the countryside. Now, the province capital can reach the highest upgrade, level 5, while the villages are limited to 3 levels each. As a result, you'll have to strategically think about what building you want to build where. Most likely with the income generating buildings and lower level recruitment buildings in the minor settlements, which are more vulnerable to attack, and then reserve the province capital slots for the high end stuff basically. Now, the blog went on to show off these pretty cool screenshots which I mentioned earlier, revealing the devastating impact that chaos will potentially have on the world if it manages to get a foothold in your land, and they truly leave nothing untouched. So as you can see here, this is nice green land in a province probably of Reichland maybe, or sort of one of the border princes territories. But yeah, everything looks nice green, trees lovely, rivers, towns there looking fine, no problems whatsoever. And then this happens, look at it, barren lands completely devastated by chaos, and just a horrible place to be. Yeah, a sheer hellhole from what it was once before. So the dark gods of chaos feed off the terror their forces inflict, and as such, the devastation that chaos armies inflict upon the mortal realm is dreadful in nature, and the land itself is blasted by the chaotic forces. In places, the earth cracks open, revealing molten rivers of hellfire. Giant spikes rise up from the ground, and there's an interesting portal by the looks of things where the town used to be. And if anyone knows what that could be, then please let me know, because I never thought there was another dimension in the Warhammer universe. I thought it was just what it was, but it looks like it's a gateway to somewhere. So as I say, if you do know what it is, then please let me know. You can see there the menacing Chaos Warrior, which I believe could be Archon, in the foreground here, which looks absolutely fantastic. And also there's magical energies that swirl around, apparently mutating and deforming everything they touch. And this is just another great example showing how the campaign map will be visually fantastic in every single way. Not only will the landscape change though, but people living near a source of chaotic influence risk being corrupted as well. So this corruption, as it sort of establishes itself in certain areas, will then spread into bordering territories, and they will start hearing voices in their heads tempting them with dark promises or driving them to madness. Forbidden cults will spring up, and formerly law-abiding citizens could soon be at each other's throats. There are also plenty more mundane threats to your peaceful cities. For example, Norska, a non-playable AI opponent, may gather a fleet of raiders and attack your coastal settlements with little warning, and every time you fail to defend a settlement, it will be seriously damaged. And what you'll have is you'll lose an entire city level, downgrading or demolishing many of your buildings. Your foes may even leave some things behind that you'd rather not have, and in the worst case, the entire settlement may be wiped off the map completely, much like in Attila. There is great variation in the selection of buildings as well, apparently, to each race. So greenskins, for example, have a very condensed building tree, mainly focused around the recruiting of units and heroes. They don't care about natural resources, they just want to have a good fight, basically. Now the Empire, on the other hand, is quite a bit more civilized. Like previous Total War games, there are strategic locations where they can construct buildings that yield natural resources, which you can then trade with your allies to generate additional income. The dwarves have an extensive tech tree to boost many of their income generating buildings with later in the game, while the Empire does it the other way round, in that having certain buildings allows you to research specific new technologies, as I discussed in my previous video. Now, scattered throughout the old world are many locations of particular interest. See them like landmarks in other Total War games, where you can build some very unique buildings that are in the lore itself. So you've got Middenheim, which is most famous for its great temple of Ulrich, and Nuln for its gunnery school. Mount Gumbad is sitting on the only known deposit of the rare mineral known as Brightstone. So there's all these little locations that can be constructed, and you'll see on the campaign map, which will be very significant in a lot of ways to your factions and other factions, and hopefully as well these locations which are there will then be playable or will be visual on the actual battle map itself, I hope. But they finish off by saying that the Warhammer Fantasy Battles world itself is full of these little pieces of flavour, and players can expect to find a whole host of them in Total War Warhammer, which sounds absolutely fantastic. So there you go, some pretty cool and revealing stuff talked about there in the blog. I hope you do some more of these, as it's a nice way to sort of drip feed us information, in a lot of ways about the mechanics and some core aspects of gameplay. The Chaos Corrupted lands looked absolutely amazing. The devastation and changes to the landscape was absolutely fantastic. It looks really, really promising, and I'm looking forward to playing and getting my hands on with these settlements and trying to manage them in the game, and seeing how best to sort of work them out to fit my faction and my playstyle, really. But yeah, great stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of this little video today. You may not even known that this blog was released, but this is why I'm here, to share this stuff with you. So if you enjoyed it, please drop a like, and I shall be back very soon with more Warhammer goodness. But until then, this is Warrior Spotter for now, saying farewell.